everyone. This is Jared Rand. Welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Sunday, February 9, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. Surrender gives you the eyes to see God, and everything that is brought to these eyes becomes divine. Osho. Do we really know what is God? The source of God is the foundation of our very being. It is our essential essence, our true life force, and the very fabric of our soul. When we can fully relax inside ourselves, we create room to fully connect with the divine source from which every life experience emanates. The deeper you can let go and rest in your body and mind, the deeper you dive down the rabbit hole, discovering that this experience of God is the foundational truth of who and what we really are. We're pure consciousness. We're cosmic energy. Excuse me. We're pure consciousness, cosmic energy, photon light energy, concentrated into a ball, if you will, of light. That's what we really look like. We don't look like the physical body that we take with us or that you've seen in different depictions. We just, as I've said before, we're a ball of light. So bright that you could have 1,000 suns behind, you just have one of us in space and have 1,000 suns in the backdrop. And the suns would pale in comparison to our light. When we fully realize that God exists inside of us, there is a feeling of deep relief, like nothing you've ever experienced in your life, your entire life. It's as if you were holding your breath. You ever done that? You ever gone on water, held your breath, see how long you could hold it? And then you come to service just before you need to take a breath, and explode up to the surface for the first breath of air. You feel like you can take in life in its totality with such a great lightness and buoyancy that you often feel like you're floating on air. To lift your consciousness is to ground it deeply. And to do this, all that is needed is the state of surrender. To completely surrender means we are not only willing to let go of our mind and every thought inside our mind, yet that willingness is also relieved of its duty. We have completely let go. Now, this is a continual process, a perpetual release every day, where we no longer are holding on tight to anything, and our ego desires move to the back burner of the stove of your life, and you trust the synchronistic flow of this universe instead. Trust takes the front burner over desire, and you choose to surrender to each experience, not because you have to, but because it feels so good. There is this constant merging what is with what is what God wants. your will becomes God's will, and God's will becomes your will. Excuse me, you become grounded in the divine reality. This grounded, enlightened state only happens through total, continuous state of surrender. So we're in a perpetual state of surrender. And of course, it's a choice. No one's going to make you do it. You'll decide to do it. Do you want to do it? So you're always surrendering. You're surrendering the mind. You're surrendering the ego. You're surrendering your thoughts. Not your thoughts, so to speak, but all the mind chatter, all that stuff that keeps you occupied on, day after day after day after day. Why do we do this? So that we can move away from the ego mind, so we can move away from the thoughts, so that we can look upon it all, the big picture. And this is the only way we can learn to master these things, the thoughts, the ego mind, and learn to just surrender everything else. Because as I've said, everything is different. It's the opposite of what it appears to be. Instead of us going after things, things should go after us. When we attract things that we desire without the interruption of the ego mind and the thoughts that aren't ours that come in. And then we begin to realize that we've always been in command. We just didn't really know it. I know that might sound strange. But as I said, what do you think the ego mind's for? It's for us to master. That's why it's there. It's the only reason we put it there. And it's strong. It's an illusion. But everything's an illusion. A certain kind of illusion. And we create those too. Why do we do all that stuff? What's the purpose of it? So we can experience. That's it. We are 24/7 creators. We are master manifestors. Now, whether we know it or not, we create, we manifest, and things are. But what's the difference? We're in a state of amnesia because we don't remember our past lives, right? Might a couple of things here and there. But we don't really remember them like you could go, okay, boom, 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 boom. So we start from scratch, and it depends on, the family. It depends on how we're influenced, how we're, what we listen to, what we believe. And this forms our personalities, our characters, and our perspectives. Now, many, of course, because of what you have been taught, you're ignorant to who and what you are. On this planet, the majority of us are taught what? So usually some kind of a man-made religion. Usually. Not all the time, of course. And that takes us in a certain direction. Remember, we're like a sponge and an open book as kids, so we basically absorb it. And then we form our personalities and character, and, we move into adulthood, so they call it adulthood. And we just keep experiencing. We create our lives every step of the way. One might say, how can that be? How can we create our lives? I thought something else did that. Something outside of me did that. He said, no, you're creating your life. Because whatever your attention or your focus is on, is being created and it's manifested. Why is it such a challenge for the civilization to embrace that? Well, since most of us are embraced by the ego mind, we don't know. Our trust, faith, and confidence in ourselves in this universe isn't at 100%. Because the ego mind doubts, fears, worries, stresses, is never satisfied, is always seeking something new. How do we have time to do anything else when we're ensconced with the ego mind? We don't, because this is what we do. We're occupied with the ego mind. Thoughts that come in that we believe are not that are ours, but not the. We don't realize that that's not my thought. I don't care to interact with it, and it goes away. This could go on all day long, and this is why it's a constant state of surrender. So we surrender. And some people believe that you're giving up when you surrender. You're quitting. You say, throw your hands up in the air. That's not what it is. You're just basically saying, I'm not interested in interacting with that. So therefore I let it go. I let everything go. You let everything go every single day. Some of the stuff that's kind of frumpy and irritable, you just kind of say, do you want to spend your energy on that? Just you ask yourself, do I want to spend my energy on that? Or do I want to spend my energy on this? It's our decision. It's just like when you come into these meditations and you find an area that you're comfortable with and you have no outside interruptions, and you begin to relax into your body, and you're still as a statue, and you focus on your breath rising and falling. That's it. And then I share information. And whatever vibrates with you, you embrace. See, when we have attachments, that's a toughie, because we all become attached to things, whether we know it or not. We do. We get glued to certain things. You might be interacting with someone, right? You might be interacting with somebody, and you get attached, right? So what does that cause you to do? You feel yourself cemented, and on one hand, maybe it's not that great. And you find yourself saying, I probably shouldn't do this anymore. Okay? But then on the other hand, said, but then I would be alone. And I don't care to be alone, but most people say they don't want to be alone, which means that's what they'll end up getting. And when none of us are alone anyway, ever. So many of us will stay stuck in certain things because we're attached to them. We don't let go of things because we're attached to them. And none of us are exempt from that. We all gravitate to that to a certain extent, some more than others. And see, when we get attached to things, we suffer. Every single time we suffer, to varying degrees. And attachment makes us believe that we are separate from God. And then being deep in desire makes us think and believe that we need to go someplace better, have more money and things, become a better being, also that we can eventually find happiness, fulfillment, and peace later on. Desiring all these things makes us reach, push, and lunge out for that carrot and overlook the God source that is already within us here now. Desire, attachment. It's a tricky thing because we also need desire to keep life alive, flowing, karmically moving. And without desires, we would become sleeping slugs in puddles of warm mud. We wouldn't have any motivation. Now, it does sound inviting to some of us. Yet honestly, how many years can we really enjoy this? The discovery to having a great relationship with your desires is trusting that all your wishes are also God's wishes for you. And knowing that this universe is a team player who is on your team, doing everything necessary to manifest your needs at the right time and place. And when you truly surrender and trust that this universe is always working for you and never against you, then you're able to relax fully inside that body you're in and find a deeply grounded experience in the divine. It's like this. Once any of us truly discover who and what we are in these bodies, that we realize that everything around us is temporary. Body's temporary. Things are temporary. Whatever we're doing in this life is temporary. But when it really sinks in and we embrace that, then the perspective, it really shifts. It's a whole different comprehension. We enjoy life. That's why we say you're grateful that you woke up in the morning. Truly so, not superficially. That you're highly committed and you value every moment, moment to moment, and this very now. You value it. It is super important. Super important. And you embrace it. Because we know that anything is possible. Anything. And the only limitations that we will ever experience are those that we put on ourselves. None of us were ever meant to have limitations. We create our own limitations through our belief mechanisms on how we've been programmed, taught, what we've picked up in interacting with others through the years. You could have one of us open and realizing that they look up at the sky, right, at night, and they see all these stars and everything, and they say, that's the God that I am. Now, someone else would say, wow, that's huge. They're insignificant because they feel so tiny and small compared to the wonderment of the universe when they are the universe. It is, we forgot how powerful we are. We don't remember anything at all. Now, is this something that is put there? Does the collective consciousness, which we're all part of, does it put it there? And if it does put it there, for what reason? Does it put the controllers of this part of the galaxy that keeps us in this stymie feeling of not remembering and having amnesia? Does that make any sense that we would create that? Because doesn't it make more sense that since we're the creators, and since we create our lives and we create our destiny and future, then when we're consciously aware and not in amnesia, and we have mastered our ego mind and our thoughts, and we're in the now all the time in heart-mindedness, then we would look at our past lives and it wouldn't be from the ego mind, which would mess us up. It would mess us up. We were to look at our past lives through ego mind. It's an unknown factor on what impact it would have on us, since we're in such an emotional body. We wouldn't know till we experienced it. But this is something that we reach deep within us, and we comprehend it and say, well, there wouldn't be an interest from me to know my past lives until I've mastered the ego mind. And if you are, or when you are, aware, this will be crystal clear, and it will make a lot of sense. Many want to know their past lives. Now, they want to know them now. But in ego mind, it would be a challenge, because ego mind is insecure, right? Ego mind has not found peace, and ego mind is never satisfied, and ego mind is always evaluating right and wrong, good or bad, and it's always protecting itself. Do you imagine that? And then being exposed to many different lifetimes that you have experienced but don't remember. And believe you me, none of us have had cakewalk lifetimes where, we didn't walk on the dark side. Because we experienced the duality, we experienced both sides of everything. You'll find some people that haven't, okay? But the majority of us, at certain lengths and degrees throughout our lives, have experienced these things. It is not a natural event, okay, for us to not have memory of past lives. That is not a natural event. Because when we leave the body, we should know who and what we are. But when we leave the body, we do not know who and what we are. Because in the body, we haven't discovered it. I know that sounds kind of strange. One might say, well, since we're all gods, wouldn't we leave the body, we know who and what we are? No, that's why we carry the body that we just left. Image, a vapor of it, because we don't know who and what we are. And so then we get to the point where we say, well, I would like to know my past lives, right? But yet I also feel a strong pull from the God that I am to master my thoughts and my ego mind, to know that I am the God in the body, pure consciousness, that I practice being in the now, and I practice residing in heart-mind over ego-mind. Because in heart-mind, as we know, we do not suffer. In ego-mind, we suffer. Ego-mind, we have expectations and attachments, and the attachments are to the outcomes that we wish we could experience or we would like to experience. And of course, we suffer because there's disappointment, and we don't comprehend why this didn't happen for us. But also not realizing that it's because of the ego mind and because we have doubt and we're not completely convinced of who and what we are. And these are all things that we discover. Some of us, not in this lifetime, maybe the next one, but others of us are discovering it because we choose to discover it, and then we're curious, right? We have that childlike curiosity, and so we say, I'm gonna go deeper into this because I really want to know who and what I really am. I know I'm not the body, right? And I know I'm something else, but I don't know what it is. And so we choose, because of our curiosity, we choose to discover that in a deep way. And so when we start to discover it, then we start realizing that we have everything we will ever need inside of us on this eternal journey. We're super manifesting machines. We can, we can manifest anything we choose, whenever we choose. This is our natural state of being. Now, it doesn't mean that many of us have discovered this and have full trust in it and confidence and faith, and that the universe is our best friend, that it is always doing whatever it can to provide to us whatever we want. But if you're sitting there and you're saying, oh, no, I don't think that'll happen, that's never going to happen, it's taking too long, and it goes on and on. So we literally block ourselves away from the abundance that we really are. Because we're the abundance. We are the prosperity. It's not out there. We created it all to experience it. It is an absolute fact, proven thousands, if not millions of times, that you are an omnipotently powerful, supreme manifesting, abundant being that never dies. You are. See, it's not out there. It's not this or that. The reason all that's been created is so we can experience it. And how do we experience it? By manifesting it. How do we manifest it? By focusing on it without attachment and without expectations. So it's kind of like, okay, I want this, and you go through it. And you're as detailed as you can be, and you have this feeling that you know that it will begin manifesting. You have no doubt about it whatsoever, and you just let it go. You leave it alone. And you don't question it and doubt it later on down the road. You just let it go because you know that it's already manifesting, and in the right timing, it will present itself. One might say, well, how come that I can be thinking of something and within a few minutes it appears? Because you thought about it, and you thought about it cleanly and freely, and you just let it go. It was a thought that passed through, you focused on it, and that was it. And it happens to all of us at certain times, but many of us don't acknowledge it. We just kind of blow it off. Well, that's kind of strange, and that's about it. This civilization, the gods that enter these bodies, and these bodies aren't what you would, it's not like there's a huge amount of bodies to enter. There isn't. People say, well, I would think so. No. So when we get a body, it's like, howdy doody, Happy New Year. And that's why every single moment we're in them. Because, see, while we're in the body, we can manifest and create anything we want. Anything. And I talk about it a lot because it's all interlinked. It's all interconnected. All of it is. Learning how to stay in heart-mindedness, knowing what it feels like. And then also knowing and how to use the heart mind to master the ego mind. Boom. And so when you do that, then everything begins to connect. I am the God. I am pure consciousness. While I'm in this body, I can have an absolute joyous life because I can manifest anything I want. Well, have you ever said something to yourself? Have you ever said, oh, I'm going to do this. This is going to happen. And then you have that little tiny feeling that comes in. It's not big. It's just a kind of a funny feeling like gout. You know. And then you say to yourself, if it happens, phenomenal. If it doesn't, phenomenal. That's part of the surrender. You don't attach to it. You let it go. It's everything. Everything in our lives. Not just a little bit here, a little bit there, or not just this over here and not this over here. It's the whole enchilada. And we're here on this planet to rediscover who and what we are. And the more time that we have in these bodies, it will accelerate more of us being able to discover that we're gods in the body. With where it is now, very rarely do we do it because we don't have enough time. We aren't in these bodies long enough. That's going to change. Focus on what you want. I'll join you in the meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. And an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still, relaxed into your body, focused on your breath rising and falling. Nothing in this world can hold us back, for we are the embodiment of divine freedom. We are infinite souls, deeply and eternally loved with wings that carry us far beyond the limits of the mind. So fly wherever your heart desires today. Do all things in love and light. Free your mind from every limiting belief. And know that through love, all things are possible. There are infinite realms of higher consciousness and divine experiences waiting for us. Let go of all thoughts tonight. Soar into the infinite sky of your soul. Remember, pure consciousness is the light of the world, and that light is inside you now. You are the source of your freedom. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night, and the following morning. We will return here Monday, February 10, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest, deepest, purest of the purest, purest, eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's happening within you or outside of you. Open your heart and allow the magic to flow in.